remembered that I'm the one introducing this evening. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 122 of the WA Running Podcast. Just Vicky and I this week. We are joined by a very special guest, the winner of the female race at the Cape to Cape 100 miler recently, Nancy Shaw. We recap King of the Mountain in local results, along with the state cross-country champs, the Red Dirt Backyard Ultra, and the 777 Braveheart Marathon that happened over the weekend. Veronika, Kretzer, Michael, Edgar, and Charles Bosveld again feature in our Weapons of Warp this week. Across my screen is my regular co-host, Vici Richardson. How are you this evening?
I'm very good, thank you, Chris. Chris is in control of the intro because we're missing Simon tonight, and I'm in control of the actual podcast recording equipment. So we might be releasing a podcast tomorrow, or we might not be. We'll see how it goes. My button pressing.
No, we absolutely will. It just took me about 4 seconds to realise that we were recording and we were live. So I'm now switched on and ready to go. And across the other side of my screen is Nancy Shaw. Welcome to the WA Running Podcast.
Thank you very much, Chris. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Not a relation of mine. I'm also a Shaw, but I'm sure somewhere down the track on the other side of the ocean we are connected somehow. So
sure thing. Although, are you Aussie?
I am an Aussie, but I'm sure
My husband's Australian.
Yeah, right. Interesting. Well,
yeah. We'll maybe discuss that another time.
Yeah, maybe over a drink one time. Vicky, would you like to take us through an introduction for Nancy? Because it's a list of achievements that I am not as familiar with as you are.
I will, but first of all, I just wanted to acknowledge that you two just managed to use the word shore in 3 different contexts in the space of 4 seconds, which was pretty impressive. And then I thought of another one, shore as in seashore.
Exactly.
There are a lot of shores, aren't there? Oh, okay, cool.
Shores to
shore. We'll get on to that, I'm sure. I wasn't even planned. Yes, so Nancy, she is absolutely one of the most determined and disciplined people that I have come across. She is regularly up at 4 a.m. for her strength training or a run with her head torch on, often backing up with a swim because she loves to swim as well. Which probably means that it's well past her bedtime as we record this, although I have it a good authority that actually she's got quite a late run tomorrow. I think we're running at 5:30 tomorrow morning, so it's a lie-in. She's fresh off winning this year's Cape to Cape 100 miler for the females, as Chris already mentioned, which was her debut at that distance. So an official welcome to the WA Running Podcast, Nancy.
Thank you very much, Vicky.
So starting us off, can you tell us a little bit about your running origin story? Where did it all start for you?
Yeah, well, so it wasn't really running that I started with. When I was a kid, from about the age of 5, I started swimming and swimming competitively up to the age of 18. So as you can tell by my accent, I'm British. I swam for Wales from the age of about 15 to 18. And then kind of took some time off to study, kind of finishing my A-levels at school and just kind of getting into university. Then when I was about 20 and I was at university in Birmingham, I went to the sports day, my first year as a fresher, and came across these boys in wetsuits, and all my housemates were like, "You got to go and chat to those guys." So a lot of people know I'm quite interested in very athletic looking people. So I went over and had a chat with these guys who were triathletes. And then for the next 3 years, I became a triathlete and was fortunate enough to go and represent Great Britain in New Zealand in the Triathlon World Championships back in 2003. And after that, I came to Australia to do a bit of traveling, met my darling husband on the Rottnest Channel swim. Then I went back to the UK with him and kind of picked up my swimming a bit, but open water swimming. So from about the age of 8, I decided I wanted to swim the English Channel. And I was just basically took a while to kind of get there because it costs a lot of money, a lot of discipline. And so at 26, I was like, right, this is it. I've got to do it before I have kids. And yeah, managed to swim the English Channel, and then kind of did open water swimming for a few years. So kind of Manhattan Island, Lake Zurich, a few of the other big like lakes in the UK. Then I decided to have kids. And then I think at 32, after I had my second child, I started running a little bit, and with some of the mums who I met in the area, and I kind of organised this group called Bikini Body Boot Camp. It was basically a group of mums and me would run up to the Wandsworth Common, and we'd do a little bit of a run, maybe 3 or 4K, do some exercises, run home. And kind of that's where I got into running a little bit. And then joined a Virgin Active gym there and started doing some cross-country running, which I'd always said when I was younger, I'm never going to run. I would much rather swim. So like when people would say, oh, come and do a 5K run, I'm like, nah, I'd rather do a 5K swim. 10K run, I'd rather do a 10K swim. Probably up to about 25K, I'd rather do a 25K swim than any running at all. Like it just didn't feature. I wasn't a runner. I'm built like a swimmer, so big upper body. So then when I was 36, in 2006, we moved to New York with my husband's work. And I'm sure lots of people know about the New York Roadrunners. And it was a bit hard to swim in New York. I mean, obviously you can swim around Manhattan Island, but they generally don't let you swim kind of in the East River or the Hudson. So I was swimming sometimes in a pool up there, and then started running around Central Park and got involved with the New York Roadrunners, seeing their events, and just started running a little bit more. Did the Brooklyn Half Marathon, I think probably in about 2007. Really enjoyed that. Did a couple other kind of races up to only half marathon distance. And then in 2018, we moved to Perth. And so my kids were a little bit older, like, what were they, 7 and 9. And very quickly, I discovered that Big Kev was a neighbour. And my darling husband, Jason, came home one day after walking our dog in the local school, like kind of, area. I was like, I met this guy called Big Kev. He's an ultra runner. Oh, you got to meet him. He's mad. He wants to meet you. He knows you run. And I was like, oh, okay. So basically, I got introduced to Big Kev by my husband. And now my husband basically tells everyone that I fell in with the wrong crowd. And within months, Big Kev had me running Herdies, which was my first ultra, and that was in 2021. And 5 years on, I've now ran my first 100-miler. So it's all Big Kev's fault.
and still running with Big Kev in the 100-miler as well.
Yes. Oh, yeah, exactly. Very poignant. So obviously the Cape to Cape was my 11th ultra. And it was very special to share a moment with Kev at the start, and then right near the end. So he was on his way back. I mean, he would have been like, 15K from the finish maybe. So that was really nice to stop and have a big cuddle as we crossed each other, and then, carried on.
Oh, wow. What a resume. That's incredible. Obviously I know you quite well, but we don't spend lots of time talking about all these crazy things that we've done. And obviously your athletic career has taken you all over the place. Just coming back to something that you said about you dabbling in triathlon for a few years, what was the running like at that point? Because you obviously would have done a bit of training for that,
so
running wise.
I was doing the Olympic distance, so only had to run 10K, and generally off the bike, or always off the bike, obviously. So I lived in Birmingham, and I'd run along the canal there. We'd do track sessions, which I absolutely hated. Kept on getting shin splints. My coach was always like, and he was a really good coach, was trying to get me to do fast things, and I'm like, oh, mate, can we just do 10K in the pool? Honestly, it wasn't pretty, but I persevered. I rolled my ankles a few times, ballooned up. Nowadays I can roll my ankle and nothing happens. It's quite amazing. I think something as I've got older, my ankles have got a lot better at rolling. But But yeah, running was not fun for me. Now, I'd smash the swim, so I'd come out like way ahead of all the guys and the girls in the swim. On the bike, I'd just try as hard as I could. Couldn't ride a bike very well. And on the run, sometimes I'd just try and make sure I'd try and hold people off, basically. Get overtaken. It was just, it was good fun.
But it didn't sway you into running at that point. You were like, I'll do it for the sake of finishing a triathlon.
Yep. Yeah.
Even the try going to open water swimming, or going from the pool to the open water swimming, seems like a big jump. 25 k's in the ocean or more is terrifying.
Yeah, I had no problem doing that. When I was younger, over school holidays I lived on the Wirral, which is over the water from Liverpool, and we didn't have many swimming pools around, so I'd basically just go swimming in this little like harbour, like man-made harbour thing in the ocean. There'd be lots of jellyfish, there'd be shopping trolleys, there'd be packets of crisps and all sorts of rubbish in the places where I was swimming. It was like a dock, and I'd get used to the ocean, and I'd be in the River Mersey, and I'd try and swim across to Liverpool from New Brighton. I wasn't allowed to because I was only about 14, 15, and all the lifeguards would come and chase me down and pull me back and tell me to get back home. But I'd try and go as far as I could until they could catch me. And sometimes the ferry would disrupt things, so I'd have to get back. But I really enjoyed being out in the ocean, and it was a nice change from seeing a black line constantly to not be able to see past your hand generally, because the water clarity wasn't very good, but I didn't mind that. There's no sharks or anything like that there, so it's all good.
Amazing. Yeah, that's incredible.
Tell us a bit about your family's background with swimming as well, because you're all swimmers and you're all very competitive with each other as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, you are. I know about them, but I know you are.
Oh, no. We are very competitive with each other. So my husband is a very good swimmer, and we met each other in 2004 when he'd swam solo to Rottnest. And, I did it then in 2006. He beat me but that's because he took me via India when I was doing my swim. So apparently the currents were pushing me so far north. I had a helicopter telling us we were out of the boundary, but even back then, and to come in closer to Rottnest, and he blames the other kayaker who was kayaking at the time. But anyway, I think Jason just didn't want me to beat his time. The kids subsequently have taken on swimming and love it too. I think because Jason and I were both competitive swimmers when we were young, we have almost tripped the kids up so they not competitive swimmers, because we've known both Jason and I knew how hard we both trained when we were younger, the sacrifices you make. It can be a very lonely sport, but there's nothing wrong with that. It's a great discipline. But I think we all both, Jason and I both still swim and train, and so the kids sort of do their swimming and training, but nowhere to the level that we did. Like, I think Jace was burnt out by the time he was 11. And I was lucky I managed to carry on being competitive to 18. But, we were training 10, 11 times a week, mornings, evenings, whatever you could fit in. So but we didn't really want our children doing that so much because we were still training. So they're both really good swimmers, good ocean swimmers as well. This year we tried to do a family team. So Dylan turned 14 in December, which meant he's old enough to qualify to do a relay. But obviously Rottnest didn't go ahead this year, but we'll do it next year. And we always do things like the Rottnest swim through, which is only a 1.6k swim. But whoever wins that is the fastest person in the family until the next title. So at the moment, I'm the reigning champion. Jason's second. Dylan's hot on our heels, so he'll be our biggest target for this December. And then, Florence has come in fourth for the last couple of years. So she needs to do a bit more training, bless her.
She's studying hard, though, and often doing lots of volunteering at parkrun as well. Bless her.
She's very good.
So can you share with us a bit about how that obviously huge amount of discipline that you grew up with through swimming has translated, and how you've applied it to now what you do with a lot of your time, which is running.
Yeah. So, I mean, gosh, when did I start early morning swimming? I was probably about 11. And it'd be generally about 3 mornings a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And you'd be up about 5 because you'd be in the pool about 5:30. So not ridiculously early, but in the winter in the UK, that would be middle of the night. It was so dark and cold. But, I set my alarm religiously, got up. I'd sometimes be having to wake my parents up to get them to take me over to Liverpool. We'd get over there. I was training, as I said, about 11 times a week. I'd love doing the morning sessions just to get it done and out of the way. Evenings were always a bit harder, especially as I got older and you're thinking about the schoolwork that you need to do, or maybe hanging out with your mates. So that got a bit harder. But at the time, I thought I was going to make the Olympic Games. So I was like, well, I'll do whatever it takes just to get the training in and get to the Olympic trials in 1996 and then Commonwealth trials in 1998. And, just try and give it your best. But looking back, I'm like, I didn't train enough probably, but that's okay. Like at the time I was doing as much as I could. It taught me so many good things, such good discipline. I had amazing coaches who were really supportive. My parents were also really supportive. My mum and dad gave up so much to allow me to do the swimming. I was brought up in a big family of foster brothers and foster sisters. We all had to sacrifice a lot to be able to allow me the opportunity to be able to swim. So I was very lucky. One of the big things, the habits that I do have carried forward from, 30 years is that generally in swimming would normally have Sundays off. Unless you were competing, you'd have Sundays off because that would be the time for the coach, to be with their family and for us to be with our families. And that kind of habit's carried on. So I generally don't run on a Sunday and it's just habit. Like I'm like, Sunday's like my rest day, I need some chill. So I generally go for a walk with Jace in the morning, maybe go for a swim, but I don't generally go for a run on a Sunday. And it's funny how that habit's carried on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. So sounds like you started trail running when you got to Perth. It wasn't really before that if you were running in Central Park and with the New York Road Runners. What's your kind of talk to us about how you feel about road running versus trail running and how you feel about it?
Yeah, I'm not really a road runner. I think, as I said, I am I've got a strong upper body, so I'm quite a heavy runner. And I find the trails are just so much more forgiving. So, I can go for a 25K trail run and it's like, oh yeah, cool. My body's recovered. It's fine. Go for a 25K on the road and I just feel a bit smashed up, feel a bit sore. My bones are maybe a bit tender and it's just boring on the road. I'm so lucky that I live in City Beach and we've got Bold Park on our doorstep. And when I run in there, obviously the Zamia Trail, but that's only 5Ks. But I know the trails all so well in there that I can do 25Ks of trails just in the kind of Bold Park kind of zone. And it's not generally repeating the trail. So I do all the sandy paths, I do all the connecting routes and the kind of bottom area by the Camel Lake. And so if you ever want to come for a run in Bold Park on a tour, I can tell you where my owls are, where my quendas, the kookaburras that laugh at me, and I know where all the spiders are. So I think there was one run I did one morning and it was only 15K and I counted 52 spiders and I named them all. So the first bit I went through gave them male names and got to 26 and then went through the next 26 of female names and 52 and 15K and most mornings I will get a few spiders smashed in my face, which if I take my eyes off the ball then they've got me. So very good head torch is what's needed and run behind me so you don't get the spiders.
I just don't spend much time looking to my left or right, and that's how I avoid seeing spiders. I think when I was doing Herdies, when I've done Herdies and training runs at Herdies, as soon as you look, as soon as you look left or right, there are spiders everywhere. I'm just going to keep looking straight in front of me at this very narrow, vision, and not divert my eyes from that, and then they're not there.
But Vicky, when you did Herdies, did you ever have any spider lines come down? Like, that's what I remember a couple of times. We'd be going along, then a spider would be coming down, like from a tree, in the kind of tree area where you've got all the trees growing over you. And you've got to watch those spiders.
Yes, there were a couple of near misses, I have to say, but generally it feels like it's as soon as you take your eyes off the path immediately in front of you, that's when you see them, nearly run into them. So your trails are your happy place from a running point of view.
Absolutely.
Your swimming, and then your strength training as well. I am always really impressed with how much, cross training with the swimming, but also strength training you're doing. How do you think both of those enable you to run the way you do and contribute to your running strength?
Yeah. I find for me, the swimming, obviously swimming is not hard work. Swimming for me is recovery. I go there to have a nice stretch of my body. The tumble turns really just flexes out your back. The pushing, if my ankles are stiff, I do a really, I never do a kick set, but I really kick hard just to loosen my ankles. I love pushing off the walls to strengthen my quads, rotating my body, just stretching out my hips. And it's just a great recovery. So I swim with a couple of guys from work, and they give me a good workout. They've got really good speed to begin with, but by the end of the set, when I'm kind of warmed up, I'm kind of smashing them. I'm like, come on, boys, let's keep going. And then they'll be like, well, how far have you ran today? I'm like, I've only done 10K so far. And they're like, what? And I'm like, come on, keep up then. Get on with it. But the swimming, and I just love swimming in the ocean as well. I'm not swimming in the ocean at the moment, but when it's warm enough, that opportunity to be out there and feel the waves and the pull of the current, it's just so relaxing, really therapeutic. And I love just being on my own and being quiet and in my thoughts. Strength training, I'm quite religious with that. So I generally do strength training 3 mornings a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, probably back to my swimming habit of a kid, just, do things regularly. And I think I started that kind of with when our kids were younger. During COVID, I set up a gym in inverted commas, in our house, and just some mats on the ground, some dumbbells, things like that. I got a spin bike and stretchy bands. And I just started working out there whilst the kids were sleeping in the morning. And it just meant I could get an extra training session in. And I found with the more strength training I did, the stronger I got, the faster I recovered. I don't get injuries, touch wood. I just feel it's a really good mobility session as well. I'm in my late 40s now. I'm perimenopausal. So to be able to have that strength training, I think just makes me a stronger runner.
Simon should be here, shouldn't he? Yeah, he'll be listening.
Absolutely.
Does he do strength training?
No.
Oh dear. You might need to start, Simon.
Well, if there's any context, Nancy, he's just had a week off because he's had a sore knee. So yeah.
I did hear that in the last episode that it was hurting. Yeah.
So maybe
some single leg squats maybe might sort that out when it's recovered.
Yeah, when time's time. No, very good. So you mentioned earlier, you met Big Kev, and he's the one that kind of got you into this ultra distance stuff. When did you make the decision to run Cape to Cape just gone?
Yeah. So I think Cape to Cape's an absolutely beautiful trail. And over the years, I've run sections of it. So I've done Margaret River Ultra solo, and then I've done, leg 1, 2, and 3 over various relays. And then I've kind of ran other bits with friends, when you go down to Margaret River on holiday. And I know how beautiful it is. And I'm like, well, one day I would like to walk the trail. But anyway, I missed that. And I ended up last year, I said, right, I'm going to go and run the trail, but over 3 days. So just the Cape to Cape trail, 127K. And I'm going to camp on the trail, and I'm just going to do it by myself. And I kind of reached out to see if any friends wanted to come, but no one really wanted to do it. So, all right, no worries. I'll I'll do it. And I did it with this fantastic lady called Anne, who's got Cape to Camp. So she sets up tents on the track for hikers who hike it like over 7 days. And I said to her, look, I want to run it. And I'm thinking of coming into Contos and then Gracetown. Could you set me up a tent, do my food, all that kind of stuff? And she was amazing and very excited. And I paid her to basically do that for me, where she'd brought a tent, set it up. It's amazing. It's sheer luxury. You're sleeping under a feather doona, proper pillow.
Wow.
Food that she comes at, and you cook your food. It's the best way to either run or hike the Cape to Cape trail. So I did it over 3 days. It was I think it was 45k, 37k, 47k maybe. And I absolutely loved it. It was so much fun. And so after that, I was like, right, well, I'd quite like to do this in one go. I was thinking about doing Delirious in February, but although it was going to be April this year, actually, April. But unfortunately, my sister was ill in January, so I had to go back to the UK and spend some time at home. And so I didn't train for about 3 or 4 weeks. So thankfully, Ultra Series WA allowed me to transfer my Delirious entry to Cape. So I thought, all right, perfect. This is the chance now. Give it a crack. And I've been speaking to Kevin for quite a while about doing a 100-miler. I think I probably, in hindsight, maybe should have found an easier 100-miler. But anyway, it was good fun.
Yeah. What kind of challenges did it? I mean, compared to running it over the course of 3 days, what did the challenges bring to you that you hadn't anticipated?
Well, it was an extra 42k.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of shit. Yeah. So it was meant to be 160k, and I ended up doing 169. I missed the first aid station because they hadn't put any signage up for it yet. Typical Ultra Series WA. We just completely missed it. Me and this other lady, Hester. And at about, I think it was meant to be at 23k, and I think at 24.5 or 25k, I ran out of water, and I was like, what? Why have I run out of water? And then I looked at my watch and was like, oh shit, we've missed the aid station. So we ran back, and it was a bit of a diversion, the aid station. Like, you had to go back to the spot where we missed and then down a hill. And as we're going back, we're kind of crossing Kev and a whole load of people, and they're like, what are you doing? Like, yeah, we missed the aid station. Thanks. Yep. So that was a bit of a bummer. But we got back on again, and just kind of then settled in, just like, okay, well, that happened, just crack on with it. And it was just the Cape to Cape is so sandy. And I think it had been dry for a few days, so the sand, it felt even more like sinking sand than maybe, when it's been rained, and the sand's a bit easier to run on. So it's more harder packed. It was just so soft. I felt like I was drowning in the sand sometimes. And as I said to people afterwards, when I wasn't drowning in the sand, I was having to be very careful on trippy uppy rocks. It is like kind of limestoney rocky. I call them a bit like skeleton rocks. You have to be really careful that you don't catch your foot on them and go flying. And a few people did, unfortunately. And I think that's why, so many people had to pull out, because they did fall over and hurt themselves. And you had to be very careful. But it was, how did that compare to the year before? Well, obviously, I did it all in one go this time. It was an extra 42k. And last time, obviously, I got to sleep, which I didn't this time. It was, I had a lot of chafing. I told Vix, and I think I've told a lot of the yellow crew about it. It was like, I mean, I've run like 100Ks and it's been fine, no chafing, but I had chafing in parts of your body where you shouldn't have chafing, where a woman shouldn't have chafing. My vulva was cut to shreds. It was ruined by my short. I didn't want to change shorts, and I don't know if that would have helped. I don't know, because I thought the shorts that I have are still just going to rub anyway, so just put up with it. And I was putting pseudo-cram, Vaseline, anti-friction balm down there. Someone said to put a Crux wipe down there. I did that. It was like wearing a sanitary pad. I was like, you freaking kidding me? Like, that's not going to work. It was awful. But, you know, I just gave myself a good talking to and said, well, you wanted to do this. You chose to be here. What a privilege. You know, you're getting to run along the coast. You're seeing all these beautiful views. You love doing hard things. You know, suck it up, get on with it. And, just kind of put your head down and keep moving. Or maybe put your head up and keep moving. Yeah.
Wow. Well, yeah. I mean, I've overshared on this podcast before, but maybe.
Well, that's the reality. That's the reality. It's sorry it happens. And I'm sure hopefully now maybe other people will realise that, you know, watch out for these things. Don't do what happened. Honestly, it recovered very quickly. Within 36 hours, it was all healed, which was amazing. But yeah, it was excruciating.
No, thank you for sharing.
It's like really.
Sorry,
I've got a visceral reaction. No, I'm having a visceral reaction to that.
I can see Vicky squirming in her chair.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all had chafing at the end of, you know, prolonged distances, whether it be marathons or ultra marathons, and it never ends up where you want it to be, or where you expect it to be. That's for sure.
I remember about. So I was coming into the Cape Nattrass Lighthouse. And I told you about this, Vicky. It's like a boardwalk section. So it was like concrete and then. Wooden slats and stuff. And this poor guy, Michael Kramer. So I'm sorry, Michael, if you're listening. I never got to apologize to you, but basically, I just couldn't stop crying. And I was really raw crying. Like there were no tears coming out of my eyes because I was so dehydrated, and I was just bawling. And I just could not stop. And Michael was turning around going, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. If I just keep running, just ignore me, And then I was doing this primal, like, woo! The poor guy was like, oh my God, she's nuts. And then at some point he did turn around and say to me, we just got to go around the next corner and we'll be there. And we went around the next corner and we weren't there. And I was just like, oh God. And I couldn't stop crying. It just, poor guy. So I'm sorry, Michael. I just couldn't control myself. I think it was the anticipation. I knew my kids were going to be there. And I told my husband, and like I normally say to them, like, don't come, don't crew film me, because I'd rather not see them sometimes, because, you know, especially when they were younger, if they said they were hungry, they were tired, they were cold, they wanted me to stop, I would stop and be there for them. And obviously now they're 14 and 17, they generally don't do that. But it's an in-joke in our family that I turned up at the aid station, they're basically like, Mum, what's for dinner? And I'm just like, just walk away, guys, walk away while you're alive. And so I was getting all emotional because I knew they were going to be cracking jokes, and, you know, they'd be wanting to look after me. And I thought, well, do you know what? They've got to see me. I was in a mess. And I was like, that's okay. Like, my kids can see me like that, and they know that I will carry on and finish, and I can do hard things. And I want to prove to them that you can be in your lowest point, absolutely cut to shreds in a very sensitive area, but you just get on with it, and you have to do hard things. And isn't that amazing that our bodies and our minds can allow us to still carry on even when you think there's nothing left in you? It was, it was great. And it was very good seeing them. It was very funny. And then my son kept on saying to me, sprint, Mum, sprint. I'm like, I am sprinting. And then, 2:33 in the morning. So how many was 20 hours in? My Garmin ran out and I lost it. I was swearing so much and shouting a lot and using the C word. And I generally don't have bad language, but I was furious because I was like, well, if it's not on Strava, it didn't happen. Like, just go home. Like, well, what are you doing? Just turn around, go home. And I nearly contemplated it. And for a couple of minutes, I had a tantrum. And then I suddenly thought, I've got my phone. I can get that out and I can start Strava on my phone. So I did. And I was a little bit like, you know, it was 2:30 in the morning. I wasn't maybe thinking straight. But luckily I looked at my phone and I'm watching it and I'm like, why isn't it moving? Why isn't the clock starting? And it was because I was moving so slow that it didn't think I was moving. And I was like, oh, you are kidding me. Like, what? Strava. Urgh. And I realized that you had to turn off the auto pause and then you had to reset it so that if you were going, say, 13 Ks an hour, it would still record. So I managed to turn all that off. And then I was going along and I don't know, 12 or 13 minutes later, Strava pipes up and she's like, oh, you've done 1K in 13 minutes and 33 seconds. And I was like, what? I don't want to know. I don't care. Be quiet. Because she was sitting in my pocket. And she basically carried on telling me how much I'd done every K, what time it took for the next 54K. And I couldn't believe it. I was just, and you couldn't turn the auto cue or whatever it was, audio cue. You could not turn that off, or at least I couldn't work out how to turn it off. So that was driving me mad towards the end. But I did get faster in some points, which was good.
Yeah. That sounds absolutely torturous.
Yeah, it was a bit, but it's what we enjoy, isn't it, with ultra running?
It reminds me of the time that I ran the Bunbury Marathon as the 4 hour 30 pacer, and I forgot to turn off my French lady who talks to me every kilometre. So and we had the speaker going. So every kilometre, the music faded down and the lady comes on saying whatever she says in French. Everyone's like, what is that? So I was like, well, if this was a way for me to learn French.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny, Vicky.
But I did not know how to turn that off. So that's what we listened to.
Same problem.
Yeah.
So, Nancy, at what point in the race, or was there a point in the race in which you realised you might be in contention to win?
Yeah, so Ruth and I had been playing cat and mouse almost from about the first or second aid station. We were running together for a while. There was 3 women running together. We were having good old chat. And one of us would peel off or something, or need the toilet or something. And we just basically kept on coming. Either I'd come in first to the aid station, or she'd come in first, and or I'd leave and she'd be there getting medical help for blisters, I think it was. But we just kept on seeing her we were seeing each other at every aid station. And so, but we didn't, I thought there were other women in front of us. And there may well have been, I don't know when they dropped out. I don't know how that all planned out. But it was basically when we came into Yelling Up, I think about 4:00 in the morning-ish, maybe 5. And my good friend Tamsin Black was volunteering there, and she does some work for Ultra Series. And she said, you're first woman, but you are really close with Ruth. So, and she's in here now in the aid station, so get out before her. And I was like, okay, cool. So, went out, and then I saw Big Kev when we did a crossover. And Kev said, yeah, you're the first woman. I was like, yeah, thanks. Yeah. I said, but she's not far behind me. So, there's still a long way to go. I stayed ahead of Ruth all the way to the Cape Nattrass Lighthouse. So that was 140-ish K, I think we were, maybe. Or I was on my watch. So it might have been actually 135. And then my kids were like, oh, Mum, you're first woman. Like, now you need to, and this is where Dylan was like, you need to sprint. And I'm like, yeah, sure. We had a little 3K loop around the lighthouse. And then I said, I need to come in and get some more food before I left that Cape Nattrass Lighthouse. And it was odd because the people on the aid station there volunteering were like, no, you can't come back in. I said, I'm coming back in. I have not got enough water and I've not got enough food for another 21K. And so I did come back in, got some more food, actually had some Panadol, filled up my water. And the kids were a bit anxious that, Ruth was going to catch me. And I said, that's okay. Like, I can't do 21K with this little food. So I went back out again and with 21K to go. And I knew that every time I went around a headland, I'd have a quick look over my shoulder and I could see Ruth coming around the headland. And I'm like, oh, crap. And Ruth is very strong on the rocks and I'm generally not. I'm stronger uphill or maybe on sand a bit more. So I knew that we had a few rocky bits coming up. So I was like, okay, just keep moving, just keep running, just don't let her catch you. Just keep moving. And that's what I kept doing. And we had this extra loop when we came into Yallingup where we had to go around the back of Cave's house. And to do that loop, you had to go up a very steep hill for maybe 1 kilometre. And at that point, I was like, right, you are strong upper body. You're going to use your arms to pull yourself up this hill. And I basically used my arms and my poles just to pull myself up the hill, get up there as fast as I could. And I think I managed to pull away from Ruth at that point. And then it was like, I don't know, 6 or 7K to go. And I was like, you're just going to have to hammer yourself, like just move. And I ran out of water and I was like, I knew I only had 6K, but I was like, well, that's going to take at least an hour. Like I'm going to need water. And then luckily I came around a corner and there was a campsite and I could see a tap. So I climbed over a fence to get some water into just one 500ml bottle and then carry on. I thought, if she catches me, I had to get water, like whatever. But I didn't see her. And I just kept moving. And then I think I got onto the beach at Yallingup and kept looking behind and couldn't see her. So I just thought, okay, you just now have to make it to the finish. And it was great when I came around the corner and I could hear Big Kev cheering me. And then, I went past Kev and then I could hear the kids. And it was lovely. It was amazing. And I think it was, the race took 31 hours and 38 minutes and to only end up 10 minutes ahead of Ruth. Like, I think we had a really good fight and she put up a really good battle. And, I felt very guilty, but also I was very pleased to have won and, and to manage to fend her off, which was, really, really great.
Yeah, I mean, a pretty special experience, but you must, there's obviously the individual things about that, but having a battle with a single person like that for such a prolonged period of time, must maybe draws you closer to that person, in the future. Maybe you might forge a friendship out of that because you've had that incredible battle.
Yeah, I hope so. Was one of our friends from Yellow the other day, Damo, Irish Damo, tells me he swims with Ruth. So I was like, there you go, a fellow swimmer. You never know.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do a swim run together.
There's a common thread then, obviously, at the head of at the lead of the pack. Swimming is the secret.
Yeah, exactly. There you go, everyone. You heard it here first.
If only I liked swimming. Oh, right. Well, Nancy, we are 8 minutes past the time that we said we would let you go. So I have, I think, 6 questions, quick fire questions I'm going to throw at you to finish us off. I think I know the answer to the first one. In relation to running, sunrise or sunset runs?
Sunrise, absolutely.
Favourite local trail?
Oh, Bold Park, but not Zania, all the other trails.
I know, I have to come with you one day. I do, because I don't know how you get 25Ks out of Bold Park. That's amazing. Favourite session?
Hill repeats. I love hill repeats.
I had somebody message me today, actually Brian, who's in our Warp Transcend team, so like, Vicky, are you going to be doing any hill repeats anytime soon? Because at Bold Park, because we did this in the lead up to Sydney last year. He's like, because I think I'd be keen. And also, what was another question he was asking in relation to running? Pace for back roads. And I was like, Brian, I'm not doing hills. We're not doing hills. I know we're both doing transcend, but no hills.
You used to do hills for transcend. It is so hilly.
I know. I'll come around at some point. Long run alone or with friends?
Alone. I love being alone. And I think when I did the Cape to Cape Ultra, I ran for 31 hours and I think I only had music on for about the last two hours when I put on my ultra playlist and so things like Eye of the Tiger and that kind of stuff just to stay focused and keep me moving fast at the end. But love being on my own with my brain.
That's amazing. Favorite post-run breakfast?
Ooh, I like going to Voyage and having a salmon gravlax. So it's like 2 poached eggs, rocket, salmon, I think it's like a bagel, lots of, and then they put like a bit of an Asian twist on it. You've got to have one. It's really good. It's the only thing that I can have after like 30 or 40K and I'm not hungry within a couple of hours. It's really good filling.
Fancy.
Nice. Sounds good.
One piece of gear you couldn't live without? Anti-chafe cream.
No, it doesn't freaking work. One person good. I couldn't live without. Maybe my like Solomon vest. That's really handy because you can take everything.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Your best advice for somebody thinking about doing their first ultra?
Don't do it. No, I'm only joking. Do back-to-back runs, long runs. So like in training, don't go out there and do like, so if you say you're doing a 50K, I personally would not go and do a 40K. But what I would do is maybe a 20 and a 20. So a Saturday run of a 20 or a Friday 20 and 25 the next day. So a big back-to-back, or do a 20-30 or something like that. So do the distance, but split it over 2 days just to build your confidence.
Good advice. And finally, what's your next adventure?
Well, I'm still trying to work that out. I tried to run something past Jason the other day about doing the 12-hour light horse, but he was not exactly very encouraging. So Lomas is trying to see if I'll do a 12-hour row gaining championship with him. So I might do that. I would like to do another 100 miler, probably not this year because I'm quite sensible that I only do a couple of ultras a year. So I'd maybe like to do a faster one. And normally summer gets wiped out because of surf life saving because I'm so busy with that. So I don't know. Watch this space, but I'll think of something. And I normally do things in Australia. So I'm not at the point yet where I go and travel for races. So I normally do stuff that's kind of in our area. We'll see. We need to brainstorm, Vicky.
Excellent. That sounds exciting. All right. That is the end of our interview with you, Nancy. Thank you so much for sharing so much with us. I cannot wait for Simon to edit this or not edit it.
Who's going to cringe?
Thanks, Nancy. We really appreciate all your time, awesome stories, and I think we could talk to you for another couple of hours, but we will let you go to bed now.
Thank you.
We will leave it there. Thanks, Nancy.
Thank you so much, Vicky and Chris. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Nancy.
Cheers.
All right, that was Nancy Shaw that we've just heard from, and we've let Nancy go off to her late bedtime for tonight. Amazing stories from Nancy, and she's a really humble competitor, but incredibly competitive and incredibly determined, and just doing some awesome stuff.
Yeah, for sure. No, great to chat with her, having read and kind of heard so much about her in results over the past little while. I mean, I realised having now seen her face on the chat, I think pre-record, I said, I'm pretty sure I sat directly across from Nancy on the way to Rottnest Marathon last year. And there was me and a bunch of other folks from Team Tina there. So, yeah, great to put a face to a name properly now, and an incredible story about Cape to Cape and sharing the lead with someone like that over 160 kilometres, and to come out on top is awesome to hear. Yeah, and
so interesting when we were running with our friend Amo on Thursday, and he said, "Oh yeah, she's a swimmer, Ruth." And it's interesting that two very strong female runners, and Nancy saying she was using her upper body strength to pull her with her poles up the hill, and yet Ruth obviously had different strengths, but they're both doing a lot of cross training and using that to their advantage in events like that. So very interesting.
Good to hear. Yeah.
Yes, right. Shall we get on to our training weeks then? Chris, do you want to run through yours and talk to us about what happened and how it all culminated?
Yeah, sure. I had a bit of a funny start to the week. I didn't run Monday or Tuesday this week, so I think I said last week, I've been busy with work and that hasn't changed. So, just been struggling to find a bit of consistency of late, but still getting out and doing sessions and runs when I can. The main focus has been to go and get some elevation in the legs, and so on Friday I got out to Bold Park. Funnily enough, talking to Nancy about 25k runs around Bold Park. That's exactly what I managed to do on Friday morning in the dark. my head torch went flat at about 10k, and I think I'd started the run at around 5 or 5:30. So I had a lot of daylight to go, and a lot of time until daylight arrived. So that was a bit ropey toward the second half of that run, but I did get to see the sun come up in the last 5k or so, which was nice. Funnily enough, I heard this. I took off my run, no one else around. I heard this almighty crack, and this was a morning on Friday where it was absolutely bucketing rain. So I took off, and it was bucketing when I started. And I heard this almighty crack, and I was like, I thought it was lightning directly over the top of my head, but there was no flash. And I was like, that's really strange. And I was like, it must have been a tree. A tree must have fallen. And I looked over to my left about 50 meters, and this enormous tree, maybe 20, 25 meters tall, had just split in half, like right in front of me, basically. So, yeah, I mean, that proved well, it doesn't prove anything, actually. I was going to say, the old adage about, a tree falling in the forest. Does it? But I certainly heard it and saw it. Disproved. But yeah, that was quite a scary experience to begin with, but pretty cool nonetheless. And yeah, it was nice, kind of doing some repeats of Raybold Hill and some of the hillier segments on the Zamia. And little bits off the Zamia too. So I just tried to find any hill and then just run it up it twice, basically. Ended up with 700 meters of climbing in 25k, which was good for a Friday.
That's good.
And then knowing that I had King of the Mountain on Sunday, I was planning to run prior to that. So I went out for about 75 minutes before King of the Mountain and did a loop around Helena Valley in Darlington and managed 320 or 330 meters before the race started, knowing that then my total for the day would be about 800. So I ended up with another 1,800 meters for the week, 102 Ks, and only managed to get in the gym once last week. But happy with the vert, getting the vert in. Going to have a lighter week this week, kind of taper it down because I've got Bibra Lake this weekend.
Yes.
So no hilly running this week. I'm going to make sure the legs are nice and fresh for Sunday. And just then from that point onward, hopefully take it up and start cracking 2,000 plus for the week in the next kind of 5 to 6 weeks.
Gosh, that doesn't sound too appealing to me at the moment. But it's what you need to do. So, You're so 102 Ks over 5 days back to back, culminating in a race. How do you feel? Are you feeling okay? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling like you could have perhaps done with the rest day in the middle of that? Or
look, judging by how unkept I look this evening, it looks like I'm not doing very well. But no, I'm feeling okay. My body's feeling good. I think I'm just feeling like tired generally, and I think a lot of that's to do with work. And so, having that extra day at the beginning of the week was handy. I probably would have preferred to have had that day off on a Friday potentially, just to have a bit of a break up the week. But, I had like a number in my mind of number of Ks I wanted to do this week, which I didn't actually get to. I wanted to do probably closer to 120 Ks this week, but, knew that was never going to be possible realistically, after having the Tuesday off as well as the Monday. So just trying to stay mindful that I didn't want to overdo it. I didn't want to double. I only doubled on Tuesday on Wednesday week just gone. So I didn't want to double again on the Saturday or Sunday just for the sake of doing it. And I'm glad I didn't, because I think if had I probably put more Ks into my legs in those 5 days, I probably wouldn't have had as good of a run at King of the Mountain as I did yesterday. So
which we will get on to after the result, shall we? Or do you want to talk about that now?
No, let's get into it later and talk about your training week, Vicky.
Okay. Well, not overly exciting. I managed to tip over 50 Ks though. I'm really building up slowly. I ticked all my runs off. I did a session on Tuesday, which was 2 by 12 minutes of tempo, which was good. and I think I got to the gym once. And I did because I had a day of 229 push-ups, which was the biggest day of the push-up challenge. So I went into the gym and did just like every other exercise. I did 10 or 20 push-ups to try and get through them all. And then I did yesterday Tina has said to me that I should be running more hills because I'm obviously doing a few hillier races towards the back end of August. So I did do that yesterday, and I ran from George's in City Beach, and we did a loop around Perry Lakes, which takes you kind of up down the boulevard and then back up again. So there's a hill there. You know, it's better than running the coast at least. And I also did my Wednesday run on a slightly hillier route as well. Nowhere near the elevation that you're doing at all, but it's a start. So yeah, that was it. I'm still running too fast on Sundays and every day. But yeah, I'm enjoying it, feeling pretty good. And we'll see how this week goes. I'm still not entered Perth Half Marathon, but I think I will enter and see what happens. Yeah.
What do we got? We got about 4 or 5 weeks until that. So you got time.
Yeah. That would be fine. It would just be a solid run, I think, because I am doing the 14K at Backroads. Then I'm going to do the transcend, which I don't think we've decided on the legs yet, but so we need to get onto that because I need to figure out what I actually need to train for, terrain and elevation wise, and then city to surf. So
true,
a busy August.
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of hills, I mean, probably the only. I mean, I think you could give them, transcends a bit of fun. I mean, Simon might say otherwise. He might be dying to win the relay, but I'm thinking like probably getting yourself more familiar with the terrain is more important necessarily than the hills, right?
Yeah, I do need to get into Dubbel Park, and Nancy is the perfect person for me to go with, so she can show me around her route, or maybe part of her route. I don't want to be doing 25Ks in there.
Yeah, I'll admit that it was a lot of looping and a lot of sanity checks going in and out of there. So pretty impressive that she's doing that on a regular basis.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So anyway, not anything overly fantastic about my week. Just ticked it off and enjoyed the runs and just getting on with it. So shall we move into results and run through King of the Mountain first of all? So this is a WA Marathon Club event, 16Ks. Yep. I should know
10 miles, I think they call it 16.1, so it's 10 miles.
Yeah, 10 miles. That was a very common distance in the UK back in the day. Okay, so it starts out at the Helena Valley Primary School. What was the weather like out there? Was it rainy?
Pretty wet, yeah. So it was a bit on and a bit like kind of hit and miss showers, yeah. Yeah.
We managed to have a whole run of not getting wet yesterday, which was really good because I got actually drenched on Saturday. But I remember last year, I think it was a really cold morning for it, like freezing cold. It wasn't cold yesterday, was it? It was like 15 degrees or something. It was pretty nice.
It was okay. It was comfortable, yeah.
So for the males, Ben Leeson won the males with a time of a 1:01:35, which is a new course record. Incredible time. Ollie Wright was second in 1:04:12 and Kent Jenkinson was third in 1:08:12. Then in the females, Petra Georgian was first female in 1:17:27, Maluka Bancroft second in 1:19:21 and Sarah Hines was third in 1:24:23. So Chris, talk us through it.
Yeah. It was the first time I'd taken part in that event. I'd tried to do it the last couple of years but have missed out for whatever reason. I think last year was like just before Gold Coast, so I wasn't going to go out and thrash my legs on the trails and potentially hurt myself. But no, it was good. It was like from my perspective, like coming in as someone who doesn't run trails very often, or run at least race trails very often. It's definitely like a different crowd from doing what you might see at Perth Half Marathon, for example. There's not like 1,500 people there. It's a smaller, more community feel, kind of starting on the road at the end by the school there, and then finishing kind of in the lawn area. But no, good numbers there. I mean, everyone getting there very early, very keen. I got there, as I said, quite a bit earlier, so make sure I could get a car park, but also get out and do the majority of my long run beforehand. And yeah, I mean, knowing what the course profile looked like, I knew that there was a big climb kind of halfway through, roughly a 200-meter climb over a K or two. So like basically 100 meters per K, and then I, like, at least on the profile, it looks like dead flat either side of that, to some degree. But those things don't always. They're not always as flat as they look on the Garmin profile, and so we took off for the race. Ben and Ollie took off right down the end, so they were smashing it straight out of the gates. And yeah, I kind of just went out, like, kind of holding on to what I guess would be kind of like a tempo pace at the start, knowing that not really knowing much about the course around those flat sections. So kind of up and down at the start, along the gravel, along the bitumen. Realised at the end of the race that most of that was probably downhill. So got about 4K in and was feeling pretty flat, to be honest, and I was still on the flat sections of the course, so that wasn't encouraging. But then once we hit the ascent, I would just kind of ran the sections that I thought were runnable. And I think the beauty about trail races that you can gauge off of people around you about what gradient is too steep to run. And so when you see the people up ahead of you starting to power hike, then you think, okay, well, I'm not going to be stupid and try and run past them, because like, A, I'm inexperienced, and B, I'm probably not as strong as they are. So as soon as I hit the segment of the hill that they're walking on, then I would do the same. And then as soon as I see them start running again, once I get to that point, I then start running again. So it's good to like read off of other people's effort to gauge your own, and not be too ambitious on the uphill running. Because when I go for my long runs on the weekends, and I often run with my friend Ordwin, who we had on the Bunbury pacing team this year. Audie is probably 15 or 20 kilos lighter than I am, and he zooms up the hills, right? So I'm often like left for dead in the dust going up the hills, and part of that's strength, but I think just can't outweigh physics, unfortunately. So I always feel like I'm heading backwards. But no, so it was good to get through that ascent. I actually felt heaps better at the top of the hill than I did when I was at the bottom of it. And along up that hill, I started to catch up with Petra, actually. So I went past Maluka at some stage on the flat section, and then went up next to Petra, and Petra and I ran together at the top of the hill for a couple of Ks, which was cool. It was the first time I'd run next to Petra, actually. So it was cool. There was people, like the marshals were cheering her on. I heard at one point one of the marshals yelled out, because I was ahead of Petra, just maybe 20 meters ahead at one point, and one of the marshals yelled, and I don't know who the marshal was, because they must have known who I was, and they said, "Go Petra, catch that warp dog." And I'm whoever that was, I appreciated that at the time. That was very funny. And then as we hit the descent, I just started to run as hard as I could down the hill, knowing that was what I wanted to practice my downhill running, and had heard a lot about that descent and how slippery it can be. And it was certainly pretty muddy in sections. And I thought I did really well down that hill. I didn't fall, managed to stay on my feet the whole time. At one point prior to this, I heard someone behind me, like a couple of guys were behind me. I ran through this giant puddle, like kind of shin deep water. And then I heard this enormous splash behind me, and I realized that someone had gone for a swim, which was quite funny. But that's all part of the fun, right? Like,
yeah,
it's pretty cool. But yeah, anyway, I was running down this hill and bombing it. My quads are getting smashed, and I felt like, I'm feeling pretty good because I know once I get to the bottom, it's basically flat to the finish. In my head, that's what I was telling myself.
Yeah.
And I managed to catch a few guys that had overtaken me in the preceding kind of 8Ks. I managed to catch them on the downhill, so I overtook a few people, which was cool. Just being a little bit more risky, I suppose, in the way I was running. And I thought my splits were pretty good when I was checking them afterwards, but then I looked at Ben's splits and I realized, like, those guys are on a different level altogether. So, impressive stuff. But so I ended up catching these guys down the hill. Got to the what I considered to be the flatter section, and then I was just counting down the Ks at that point, and I realized that having completely trashed my quads down the hills, like I had nothing left to give, like on the sections that were uphill after that, and there were only minor, like kind of, minor hills in the scheme of things. But given that they're over the rocks and over the trail, like you just don't have the traction that you would have on the road, and I then gave up this. I think his name was Luca. He finished ahead of me. He overtook me again toward the end, and I just couldn't catch up to him through that section because clearly his quads were faring better than mine. So that's probably a lesson learned for next time. Is to not go too hard on that downhill because you will pay for it in the last few Ks of that race at least. And not that I would run that hard at Transcend. Like I would never. It's a longer distance, right? I would never completely wreck myself like I did in that race. But I thought it was a really, really enjoyable experience. I think I wouldn't say I'm addicted to trail running yet, but I have the last couple of experiences which have been very far and like kind of all spaced fairly far apart. I did John Forest last year, which is fairly straightforward in terms of trail. I did the leg one of Transcend last year, which was really fun, which convinced me to sign up for Transcend. And now having done this, it probably says to me that I need to sign up to like a Perth Trail series or something of the like in the next over the summer or something, just to maybe get a bit more of a taste for the shorter trail stuff after I do Transcend. But great
That's
event.
Awesome.
They've got hot soup at the finish of King of the Mountain, which is cool. And highly recommend it to anyone who wants to challenge themselves, who typically runs on the flat roads down the coast.
You wouldn't be talking to me there, would you?
No, not at all. Maybe Simon.
I was going to ask you about the soup because I do remember the soup being excellent from last year. Much needed after that on a cold, wet morning. What distance did you run before you started?
I did about 13.5 Ks, which took me about 75 minutes. So that was just it was basically run the course, the climb of run the descent of the course, but in reverse. So I ran up the descent on the way, and then I kind of cut north and went toward Darlington Heritage Trail. Went around that way rather than come back through Helena Valley. Yeah.
So it maybe wasn't just the smashing your quads down the hill that was the contributing factor to feeling like you were a bit cooked by the end. It was actually possibly the 13K that you did beforehand as well.
Yeah, the 13K before that had probably nearly not as much, but almost as much elevation, and probably having run that 700-meter climb on the Friday. I mean, definitely I would have been tired from all of those things, but that's, I guess, the whole point of this was to actually fatigue myself and then go and put an effort in. Happy with how that turned out. I think I ran 1:16.25 or something like that. And I think speaking to Ash in the Bunbury pacing group this week, she predicted that I would run 1:14. I knew I wasn't going to run for 1:14, but I was hoping that I would run 1:15 something. But yeah, like knowing that I was going to be fatigued, I think that was probably wishful thinking.
Yeah, that's a great run by the sound of it. A really good, like as you say, a really good solid training run on tired legs, and no injuries, no falls, because it isn't an easy course. And I feel like it's not. I've only done it once as well. I think I had no idea what to expect, and I found it incredibly hard, technically hard for me, at least. Like it's not an easy course.
No. I mean, yeah, the segments of it that are quite muddy, and that those in particular, like kind of the second half of the ascent. That my memory is that it is quite rocky and muddy, and so it's very difficult to run properly up those segments of the hill. And then even the downhill section, like I said, it's quite steep, but then it has these kind of speed humps down it, so it's constantly breaking your flow, you're hopping over like ruts in the trail and backwards and forwards and loose rocks. So yeah, it's certainly challenging I think if you haven't run them all the time but from my experience at Transcend, at least on leg one, was that that was a different beast altogether. So I'm from what I understand, some of the other legs are even harder. So I'm looking forward to the challenge.
I think also just on your point about bend splits, particularly on the downhills. I used to be in awe of the fell runners in the UK, so I'd go and occasionally do. No, I mean you could call them a mild fell race, barely. Yeah. But I did do the Yorkshireman, which is a off-road marathon, and there was. I wouldn't even call it fell running, but there were some very, very steep downhills in that race, and the people that ran, they were obviously from that area. They were very used to running on the terrain, and they would just fly down the hills. And it was just, I'm there like Bambi, like trotting down, just being very, careful about where I put my feet, probably making it far harder for myself than actually it would be if I just was a bit more confident.
Sure.
But yeah, those people, they're doing it all the time. They're finding this trainer. I think it's harder for us. Unless you're really inclined to, it's hard to do it here. It's hard to find that kind of terrain and descent to run on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's not really. I mean, beside Mount Street or Malcolm Street, there's not any really steep declines that you can really practice downhill running on, and then you kind of go to Bold Park is probably your next best thing. But you really have to be going into the hills to some segments to do it. But that I guess the barrier to most people is the commute time to and from these things, right? So it's like for me, like a lot of the drives out to the trailheads that I start at will be close to 35 or 40 minutes. So I've got to factor that in to and from. And so that's why I start these runs at kind of stupid o'clock, because otherwise it takes up half your day.
No, sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, like looking at Ben's splits down those descents, I think the 11th K, I think I split 3:59 down the hill. So that's downhill, 3:59, which is probably my fastest K. And then he ran 3:12 on the 11th K down that hill, which is scary. So that's just like absolutely letting gravity take full control, and you have to have phenomenal strength and confidence to do that kind of stuff, right?
Awesome to watch, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have been watching like a lot of the Golden World Trail series, like like highlights and stuff on YouTube recently, and watching some of these guys and girls run up and down hills is just really crazy. Even you watch some of Vlad's videos where he puts the drone up behind him and then runs down mountains in Europe somewhere. is pretty awe-inspiring. So can only hope to have the quad and adductor strength to for something like that sometime in the future. But in saying that, all of the running I've been doing in the hills in the last kind of 6 months, I feel like my adductors are so much stronger than they were in the last couple of years. Like I'm able to get through these runs and not be crippled for 36 hours afterwards. So it's all paying off, I guess.
Absolutely. So next up, you've got Bibra Lake Half. Is that right?
That's this weekend, yeah. So I guess we could have done a preview of Bibra Lake this week, but I don't think there's not a whole lot of information available as to who's doing it. But yeah, Bibra Lake Half this week. I'd love to go under 80 minutes if I can. And yeah, just I think Jake Beacock, who mentioning another Bunbury pace team member, he's trying to run a similar time, so I think he and I will kind of go out together for the first 10
that's good.
10 or 12 Ks. It'd be nice to have someone to run with at least, and just see how we can work off each other, and hopefully both get a 1:19 something.
Yeah, awesome. And then after that, are you going to do any other trail races, events?
I don't think so. So there's Truth or Consequences, which is on the 2nd of August. I think it's the same day as Perth Half. That is a PTS event. They have anything from kind of 5K up to like a double black 50K, I think. And Ben Leeson mentioned to me that he's keen on doing the 25K, but just with family commitments and stuff, I don't think getting out for another kind of 10 o'clock finish for a race is a good idea. So I think a bit kind of with these upcoming community runs, kind of on the 12th, the 26th, and then the 16th, I think those will be my longest days of the build. I'll probably go for a longer run before those runs, so that I'll maybe do an hour and a half or so before those runs, and then that will kind of make up the majority of my longer training runs for Transcend, I think. But yeah, no more races beyond Bibra Lake, I think.
No. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to some other results then. There's a few more events that happened over the weekend, but we couldn't find results for all of them. So unfortunately, we weren't able to find results for, I don't know whether you did, Chris, but I couldn't find results for the Red Dirt Backyard Ultra. I did look at the photos. I found some photos, and I saw some people holding up some signs that said 20 loops and 134 Ks. And I was like, I am not trawling through photos to work out who went the longest. So I'm sorry, but Red Dirt, if anyone knows anyone that did it, or if anyone did it, let us know what the distance was. And also Braveheart 777 Marathon, which is the first of the rotation of marathons that go around the country. Today, that I also don't have results for. I have tried to find them. But I have managed to get the WA State Cross Country Championship results, which, again, I had to phone a friend on. The men's 10K was taken out by Matthew Ramsden in a time of 31:18. Kai Hea was second in 32:17, and Thomas Cross was third in 32:54. In the women's 10K, Amy Buckingham was first female in 38:27. Ellaby Hansen was second female in 39:01, and Ava de Brits was third in 39:24. And that rounds us off for results. If we do find the results, those are the races, we will drop them in for one of the coming weeks.
Yeah, cool. I mean, there's some familiar names there, both in the men's and the women's, that we often see on the track. So good to see them running fast times and building a big base in the winter time in the cross country stuff, because Nationals is coming up, right? I think that's why we're doing this now. So there's a few people heading off to Ballarat to do that in a little while. But yeah, good to see Matt Ramsden back running for the first time in what feels like a very long time.
It does, yeah. That's awesome. And a good lead on that race he had. There were many other races. I got the whole PDF of 8 pages of races, starting with a under eights. I think it was an under eights 1K, and I was like, oh gosh, I'm not going to read all these out. So
Definitely not.
They're not mine. But there were some juniors in there though that we do read out regularly, and some of the women's 6 and 8K,
cool.
the men's 8K, yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, let's get to upcoming events then. So as we mentioned, Bibra Lake's coming up this weekend. I think there's still entries available across most of the distances. I think if you're looking to pace a 3-hour or a 3.5-hour marathon, I believe Chris Lark is looking for someone. So I'd get in touch with Chris or the Running Works team in order to get yourself a bib for that. I have a hunch that the women's marathon is going to be a very hotly contested event this weekend. So knowing a couple of good friends of the show might be running together in the low 250s was going to be very interesting to see play out firsthand. So, look forward to that on Sunday. The weather looks interesting at the moment, like a decent northerly blowing. So, but given it's around Bibra Lake, you're protected from the wind for the majority of it. You're kind of covered in the trees, and there's some nice new tarmac on roughly 40% of the course. I think my previous advice is that I might have completely overstated the amount of new tarmac when I went for a run there recently, but it was about 40% based on my last run there last week. But that's exciting coming up. There's Broome International Airport Marathon also this Sunday up in Broome. There is the Kalgoorlie Pipeline Marathon on the 19th of July, which I believe... a few Perth people often go over and make the trip east and try to get a bit of prize money. There's Eagle and Child Trail Run on the 19th of July also out at Red Hill Auditorium. There's the WAMC Shelley Loop Run. There's a 10K there and a 3K. That is, I believe, the front runner club champs. They host each year. So last year, Dean Menzies won that. And I believe Ben Leeson actually is going to be running that. So it's his first 10K coming up this week, in a couple of weeks' time. And I think Simon's chasing someone to pace him to a 35.50 10K. If anyone's listening and wishes to sign up or have Simon pay for a bib for you, Simon will be willing to pay you either in the dollars or in Hungry Jacks after the race, I believe. So reach out if you're interested. We've got the WA Coastal Running Festival out at Burns Beach on the 26th of July, 4K, 8K and 16K distances. There's the WMC Perth Half Marathon that you'll be running, Vicky, on the 2nd of August. We've got Truth or Consequences, as I mentioned earlier, also on the 2nd of August. And there's just a couple of things here that I thought we'll mention that have been brought to our attention, at least in the last little while, but haven't had a chance to bring up. We've got the Fat Farmers Rural Health Initiative 2026 event series brought to our attention by a good friend of the show, Hannah Paget, at Bunbury's answer to Dean Menzies. So active farmers, or the Fat Farmers, it was established in 2012 with the aim of promoting both physical and mental health and wellness for rural communities who do not have access to the same facilities that we do here in the Big Smoke. After a successful series of running events in 2025, they've got another series of events coming up this year as a part of the Run for Resilience event series. They're actually held across Australia, but we've got two events one in Kojonup on the 2nd of August and one in Katanning on the 16th of August, respectively. So I think tickets are like $35, whether you're signing up for the 5, 10 or the half marathon. So that's an incredibly cheap run, no matter what distance you're signing up for these days. So if you're interested in it there, and all proceeds go to helping these people put together community events for farmers in the regions. Go and check it out. And we'll probably put a link to it in our show notes. I'll try and remind Simon to do that. We've got Backroads Gravel on the 8th of August up in the Chapman Valley in Nubawa in WA, which obviously we're giving away some tickets to, I believe, Vicky, which we might announce just shortly.
We have it on our socials. So that competition is open now and is running until, I think, the 17th of July. So marathon, half marathon, 14K and a 5K they have up there. check it out. It's going to be a good one, I think.
Yeah, I think you can do the marathon in a relay too, if I'm not mistaken, because I believe boy wonder Denzel Gould did it with his dad last year, and ahead of a Perth Marathon, and they won that last year. So there is some honours to be won there. As we announced earlier in the week, we've got Transcend community runs coming up on the 12th of July. So that's the week after Bibra out at Helena Valley. We're going to start at Helena Valley Primary School, just like we did on the weekend at King of the Mountain. Trying to keep these runs relatively simple, kind of out and backs, so that people, don't get lost, but also makes it accessible for people who don't run trails often. We'll be running them at a comfortable kind of pace for most people. And ultimately, people can run it at their own pace because it's an out and back. So ultimately, we're finishing and starting at the same place. No one's going to get lost. All of the course profiles and maps are on our Instagram bio. You can find them there. There should be a Garmin link. So we've got Helena Valley on the 12th of the 7th. We've got Bibbulmun Track starting at the Northern Terminus on the 26th of the 7th, and then Victoria Dam on the 16th of the 8th, the week before Transcend, out at Ellisbrook Valley Reserve. So looking forward to that. Hopefully, we've got actually, what I forgot to mention and failed to mention is that we're actually partnering up with Dubbel for that. So Macca has kindly put his name to this, even though he's been training for Gold Coast Marathon coming up this weekend. He will be out there with us and some of the folks from Dubbel. I've been trying to get Shannon out there to see if she will come and run the hills with us, but I'm told that that's going to be wishful thinking. So I'll leave that to her. But yeah, it'll be good to see a few people down there getting out and enjoying the trails together, leading up to Transcend. All right, that's us. Vicky, you've got some verbalizations here. Would you care to enlighten us?
I already did it, I think. It was back roads, so just wanted to give an update on that. But we've mentioned it. 2 free entries we've got up for grabs on our socials now, so go over and check that out. So I think that brings us on to weapons. Shall I kick us off with weapons?
Yeah, go for it.
Give you a little breather. So the first couple then, Veronika Kretzer. I mentioned Veronika last week because she just started the Gobi March. She has now finished the Gobi March. She finished in 11th place for the females and 46 overall in a total time of 42 hours and 48 minutes over 6 days. It's a 6-stage race. Incredible. We were tracking her all week. The just out of interest, the overall winner was a female from the US and finished in a time of 28 hours and 52 minutes with an hour and 15 lead on the second place. Wow. The first and second split times were incredibly close all the way through. There was one day where I can't remember her name now. Elise Lagerstrom was the first female. She was something must have happened on the last but one day, and she kind of slashed an hour off the second place's time. So, but yeah, Veronika, I wanted to give a shout out because she's amazing. She has recently, I would say 6 months ago, she was turning up at Yellow on crutches because she'd got a stress fracture.
Oh,
and
shit.
She was coming with her guitar and her amplifier and her microphone, having written a song for one of the guys that she then performed to the entire Yellow Cafe. Wow. She'd brought cake for Nancy a couple of weeks ago. We call her lovingly Dr. V. She's an amazing, amazing runner and incredibly resilient to have finished in 11th place and 46 overall in that race, which looked pretty relentless. And then my other weapon for this week is repeat weapon, Charles Bosveld. I'm nominating him because he just ran the Bravehearts 777 marathon. This is the only result we've got from this race in 2:56:18 this morning. I believe that was a 45-second PB. 7Ks out from the finish, his carbon plate in his shoe broke across the middle of his foot, and then he was at work by 12:15. So I think that's weapon-like behaviour.
That is absolutely,
Charles doing it again. Yeah.
That's impressive stuff. In the interest of misinformation, we're going to say that Charles won the 777 Bravehearts Marathon. He's the only result that we have. So, no, regardless, that is...
let's say that.
That's impressive stuff. I was also going to nominate Michael Edgar, who we had on the show for the Transcend series a couple of weeks back. He ran a 5K PB of 17:07 at Parkrun on Saturday, which is impressive in itself, but he was wearing what appeared to be a homemade double singlet that he'd drawn on with some crayon or texture. It was like on an 80s muscle tank, so really wide-shouldered, white tank. But based on his physique, it looked like he needed to do a bit of work to fill out the tank, unfortunately. So might have to get him on the push-up challenge next year, Vicky.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure they need to run a 17:07 park run, but
no, maybe not.
Pretty rapid.
Yeah, very rapid. No, congratulations, Eggy. Now, I just was reflecting this weekend about, it's been a year now since we ran the Gold Coast training series, the Road to Paradise, which is mind-boggling that that's how long it's been. But we obviously had Carlos, Loz French, and Rosie Sperling there, and of course Simon. But yeah, just been feeling a lot of FOMO in the last few weeks, hearing about a few people going over to run either the half marathon or the marathon. So just wanted to wish everyone the best of luck who's going over there. I think Mac is going over there. Shannon is going over there. So the Dutch and Duchess of Dubbel, they're both running the marathon, which is interesting to see Shannon's transformation from what was a casual runner, 18 months ago or 2 years ago to now someone who's running their second marathon willingly. Is super interesting. But
the podcast folded since she made that decision.
That's what I mean. Like, you've got to actually dedicate yourself, right? And it seems like she absolutely has dedicated herself. She's been putting together some really good sessions, so that's really impressive to see.
Yeah.
So wish everyone all the best next weekend, whether you're running Gold Coast or our version of Gold Coast, Bibra Lake.
Yeah, I think I know where I would rather be. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And everyone else does too. Yes. Also a big shout out to a couple of the Wolves, Hayley and Gav. I think they're the only ones that I'm aware of that are doing it, and I will kick myself because I will have forgotten someone, but they were definitely there braving the elements on Saturday morning with their last run, sort of taper run before Gold Coast. So yeah, it's going to be a good weekend of following along the results.
Yeah, awesome stuff. All right, well, I'll wrap us up, Vicky, because we've been going for now an hour and a half. So it's going to make a nice midweek long run for anyone who's training for Sydney or Melbourne, or maybe it's their weekend long run if you're training for Perth Half. So you can reach us at WA Running Pod on Instagram. Our email is warunningpodcast@gmail.com, and our Strava group is Warp. Vicky, thank you very much for basically running the show tonight, doing all of the hard work behind the scenes, putting the agenda together, getting Nancy on the show. I'll hopefully next time I'll do a better job of the introduction.
Thank you. Successfully pressing the buttons.
Yeah, very good stuff. All right, Vicky, thanks very much. And we'll see everyone next time on the WA Running Podcast.
Thanks, guys. See ya.